Persistence is a state of mind, and it can be cultivated. Napoleon Hill. You are not where you want to be today because you gave up yesterday. Every time you take a step backward, every time you lose faith, every time you choose comfort over action, you are trading your future for fleeting satisfaction. The world does not care about your potential, it cares about your results. And those results, the success you crave, come not from grand moments of inspiration, but from one thing, and one thing only: consistency. The truth is, success isn't about the bursts of energy or those high-impact moments that feel electrifying. It's not about waiting for that perfect day to start. No, success is a daily grind. It's not a one-time effort. It's an ongoing battle against your own limits. And the weapon you need is consistency. You've heard the stories. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times before he perfected the light bulb. He didn't wait for motivation to strike him like a lightning bolt every morning. He showed up every day relentlessly without fail. The same is true of Andrew Carnegie, who rose from nothing to build an empire, not by waiting for the stars to align, but by working every single day. What do they all have in common? The power of being consistent, even when failure was certain, even when the world doubted them. It's easy to romanticize success. It's easy to look at the end results and forget the grueling journey that made those results possible. But behind every millionaire, every innovator, every legend, is a silent force that moves them forward. The decision to show up every single day, no matter the obstacles, no matter the setbacks, and no matter the doubts. Consistency doesn't wait for the right moment, and it certainly doesn't wait for the right mood. It simply demands that you do the work, every single day, even when you don't feel like it. And especially when you'd rather quit. The secret: it's not about trying to be perfect every time. It's about showing up, doing what needs to be done, and staying in the game long enough to see results. Napoleon Hill said it best: what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But that achievement doesn't come through fleeting bursts of inspiration. It's earned through the painstaking process of consistency. If you want to achieve greatness, you must first make the decision to be consistent, to push through the barriers that tell you to stop, and to keep going when every fiber of your being screams to rest. This isn't about just dreaming, it's about creating a daily habit of relentless effort. Because without that effort, your dreams are nothing more than whispers on the wind. Consistency is the bridge between your thoughts and your results. And it's the reason why most people fail. They want success but aren't willing to do what's required every day in the trenches. They think they can show up for the big moments, but they don't realize that the big moments are built on the small, seemingly insignificant actions of every day. So, here's the truth. If you can force yourself to be consistent, if you can break free of the patterns of self-doubt, of fear, of hesitation, you can have whatever you desire. But first, you must commit. You must understand that consistency isn't about perfection. It's about effort. It's about focus. It's about discipline. And most importantly, it's about making the decision to keep going, even when you'd rather quit. And you will want to quit. You will face moments of exhaustion, moments of doubt, moments when the temptation to take shortcuts will feel overwhelming. But that's the moment where you define yourself, because it's not the act of quitting that makes you fail. It's the decision to stop trying. It's the failure to show up time and time again that will haunt you. What does consistency require? It requires clarity of purpose. You cannot remain consistent if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. What is your goal? What is your vision? Why does it matter so much that you push through the pain, the struggle, the fatigue? Without this clarity, consistency becomes a meaningless task, a series of actions without purpose. And without purpose, there is no reason to keep going. But when you know why, When you can look at your goal and feel its importance burning deep within you, that clarity becomes your anchor. It's the reason you can drag yourself out of bed when every part of you wants to stay under the covers. It's the reason you can silence the inner voices that tell you to give up. Because your goal is bigger than your comfort, bigger than your excuses, bigger than the temporary pain. Once you have clarity, consistency becomes an act of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your ability to push through, faith in the process. You may not see the results right away. In fact, you may fail countless times before you see a breakthrough. But that's where consistency steps in. It tells you to trust the process, to keep pushing even when results seem nowhere in sight. And then, there's discipline. Consistency isn't just a matter of showing up, it's about doing the right things, consistently. It's about mastering the art of daily actions that move you closer to your goal. Discipline is what turns a dream into a reality. It's what separates those who talk about their goals from those who achieve them. Think about the greats in history. Ford didn't revolutionize the automobile industry with a single burst of genius. He did it through consistent innovation, consistent focus, and consistent action. Disney didn't create a global entertainment empire overnight. It was a series of small steps taken every single day, even when he was rejected by countless investors and doubted by millions. To achieve anything significant, you must master the daily grind. The small habits that most people overlook. It's the 5 a.m. wake-ups, the long hours, the practice, the study, the work that others won't do. It's being willing to put in the effort, day after day, when others are looking for shortcuts, when others are waiting for inspiration to strike. That's the true power of consistency. It turns the impossible into the inevitable. It compounds small actions into extraordinary results. And it makes the impossible possible. But it's not just about doing the work. It's about being adaptable in the process. Consistency means being willing to adjust, to learn, and to evolve as you move forward. The road to success is rarely a straight line. It's filled with twists, turns, and unforeseen challenges. And if you're not willing to adapt, if you're not willing to course correct, you will falter. This is where most people quit. They expect success to come in one perfect, linear path. They get discouraged when things don't go as planned. But consistency isn't about rigid perfection. It's about persistence through the ups and downs. It's about adapting to obstacles without losing sight of your goal. Your vision will be tested. Your resolve will be tested. Your ability to stay consistent will be tested. But this is where you separate yourself from the rest. This is where you make your mark. Because in those moments of testing, when others quit, you'll be there, standing firm, showing up, doing the work, staying consistent. And in the end, that's what makes you unstoppable. Consistency isn't just the key to success. It's the key to becoming someone who no longer fears failure, someone who no longer makes excuses, someone who looks challenges in the face and says, "I will not be moved." So, the question is, will you be consistent? Will you commit to showing up every day no matter the circumstances? Will you choose to push through the moments when it feels impossible? If you can do that, if you can force yourself to be consistent day after day, you will find yourself on a journey that leads you to the life you've always wanted. Because success doesn't come from wishing. It comes from doing. It comes from showing up, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when the world tells you to quit. The choice is yours. Choose consistency. Choose action. Choose to never stop. Choose to become the person who shows up even after 100 failures. Because the world does not reward the person who almost did. It rewards the one who never stopped. There is something unshakable about a soul committed to the long game. A force of nature that grows louder every time you whisper, "I'm not done yet." That is the foundation of greatness. Not noise, not hype, but quiet, unrelenting devotion to the mission. Look at the lives of those who changed the course of history. Abraham Lincoln lost countless elections before becoming one of the most revered presidents in history. He failed in business. He lost the woman he loved. He suffered depression, but he stayed the course. He remained consistent to his principles, to his vision, to the voice inside him that said, "Keep going." And that voice, not luck, not talent, is what built legacies. You must become intimate with the repetition. You must fall in love with the rhythm of relentless action. You must train your spirit to crave the discomfort of progress, to chase the repetition of success until it becomes second nature. Because that repetition is not punishment, it is refinement. It is sharpening you into a blade that nothing can dull. When you feel tired, that's your signal to rise. When you feel unmotivated, that's the moment to act. When doubt whispers in your ear, that's when you silence it with movement. Your enemy is not failure. It's hesitation. Your enemy is not exhaustion. It's the excuse. And the weapon that crushes them both is consistency. You don't need to do 1,000 things. You need to do the right few things 1,000 times. That's how legends are made. That's how empires are built, brick by brick, not flash by flash. The truth is, people will forget your talent if you don't show up. They'll forget your dreams if you don't make them visible. They'll forget your potential if you don't convert it into discipline. Potential without consistency is like fire without oxygen. It burns bright for a second, then disappears into nothing. So what will you be? A spark? Or a wildfire? Because the wildfire is born from the one who refuses to quit. The one who understands that emotion is fleeting, but commitment is eternal. The one who doesn't rely on perfect conditions, but creates momentum in the storm. You don't have to feel like it. You just have to do it. Again, and again, and again. Success isn't sexy in the day-to-day. It's mundane. It's repetition. It's structure. It's the alarm clock at 5 a.m., the skipped party, the 10th rejection. But it is in that silence, in that lonely, thankless consistency, where the seeds of power are planted. And if you stay the course long enough, they bloom. You will never rise above the level of your habits. And your habits are formed in the trenches, not on the mountaintop. Discipline is not forged when you're inspired. It's forged when you feel broken, tired, uncertain, and you move anyway. That's where you become dangerous. That's where your soul is trained for greatness. Stop worshiping motivation. Start cultivating endurance. Because motivation is like lightning. It strikes, then it's gone. But endurance is the sun. It rises every single day without fail. It doesn't wait for approval. It doesn't need applause. It shows up relentlessly. And so should you. If you could see what your life looks like 1 year from now, after 365 days of brutal, beautiful consistency, you would never waste another moment. You'd stop negotiating with your laziness. You'd stop entertaining distractions. You'd treat your time like gold, because you'd realize that every hour is a brick in your future, and every excuse is a crack in the foundation. There is a war inside you between comfort and calling. Every time you choose to procrastinate, to delay, to shrink, you are surrendering ground to comfort. But every time you choose discipline, even a small act, you take back that ground. You reclaim your life. You declare to the universe that you are no longer willing to live below your potential. And the universe responds to that kind of conviction, because it is not your conditions that determine your destiny. It's your consistency. It is not the job title, the followers, or the applause. It's the unseen hours, the quiet grind, the unseen, uncelebrated repetitions when no one is watching and no one is clapping. Those are the bricks that build kings and queens. So train like your future depends on it. Work like your legacy is on the line. Think like every thought becomes a blueprint. Move like the version of you that already exists at the finish line, because they are waiting for you. That future version, that stronger, wiser, more dangerous version of you, they are not built by chance. They are built by consistency. The pain you feel today from discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret, that lasts a lifetime. So if it hurts, good. That's the signal you're growing. If it's hard, perfect. That means you're doing it right. There is no path to greatness that avoids hardship, and there is no lasting power in easy wins. So if you truly want to honor your dream, you don't wait until it feels right. You make it right by doing the work. Force yourself to be consistent, not for anyone else, not for the praise, not for the rewards, but because you made a promise to yourself. And the most powerful force in the world is a person who honors their own word. A person who follows through, not just when it's convenient, but when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. And if you do this, if you plant your feet, set your sights, and keep walking day after day after day, you will arrive. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this month, but if you stay relentless, your time will come. Because the world does not give its rewards to the one who starts the race. It gives them to the one who finishes it. So stand tall, lock in, and never stop. Because consistency wins. Always. Every empire that ever rose from dust began with a single, ordinary day. A day just like today. A moment just like this, where one decision changed everything. Not a miracle, not a flash of brilliance, a decision. To keep going, to rise again, to show up when no one else would. That's the moment where kings are born and history is rewritten. You don't need more time. You don't need more talent. You don't need more approval. What you need is a relentless heart, a mind made up, a soul on fire with purpose. And you need the courage to do the work every day like your breath depends on it. Because in a way it does. Not the breath in your lungs, but the breath of your becoming. The oxygen that fuels your transformation. The fire that burns inside you and refuses to go out. That fire can only be fed by one thing: consistent action. Napoleon Hill didn't preach quick wins. He preached the power of repetition, of burning desire, of definiteness of purpose, and above all, of persistence. When he studied the titans of his age, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford, he didn't find men waiting around for lightning to strike. He found warriors of habit, architects of structure, soldiers of self-command. They didn't always feel like working, they just worked. They didn't always feel like leading, they just led. Because they understood something you must tattoo onto your soul. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. 1 hour every day is stronger than 10 hours once a month. One brick laid each morning will build a fortress stronger than a palace built in a storm of frenzy. That's the law of accumulation, and it cannot be cheated. So don't ask, how fast can I get there? Ask, how long can I endure? Because speed without direction leads nowhere, and talent without discipline dies forgotten. But consistency? Consistency will carry you when your strength runs out. Consistency will speak for you when your results finally show up. And consistency, quiet, faithful, daily consistency, is what makes the impossible inevitable. You want transformation? Then you must become the type of person who keeps going when the excitement fades. The type who doesn't rely on applause, on momentum, or on emotional highs, but one who moves through the valley with the same pace they had on the mountain. Consistency is not a pace. It's a promise. It's you saying, no matter how I feel, I will act. No matter what the world says, I will believe. No matter what the day throws at me, I will rise. And when the days get dark, and they will. You won't need to reach for motivation, because your consistency has built a rhythm. You'll move forward even when you don't feel ready, because now it's who you are, not something you do, someone you became. You became the storm. You became the standard. You became unbreakable. Let the world call it obsession. Let them say you're too committed, too focused, too intense. Let them laugh now, because they won't be laughing when the harvest comes. When the compound effect of your discipline turns into dividends they could never imagine. When your work becomes your witness. When your results become the roar that silences every doubt they ever threw your way. Because make no mistake, the world may doubt you, delay you, or even deny you. But it can never defeat the one who refuses to be inconsistent. It cannot stop the man or woman who keeps rising, who keeps working, who keeps showing up. There is something holy about that kind of resolve. When you show up for yourself over and over again, something changes in you. You stop waiting for permission. You stop fearing failure. You stop playing small. Because you've proven to yourself you are reliable. You are the kind of person who keeps their word, who honors their goals, who treats their future like sacred ground. And when you do that, the doors begin to open. Not because the universe suddenly decides to favor you, but because you've built the key. Through blood, through sweat, through effort, through consistency. Don't underestimate what one small action done daily can do. Don't overlook the impact of showing up when you don't feel like it. Don't ignore the inner revolution that occurs when you choose to be faithful to your future. Your life is not made in a day, but it is made daily. So wake up with fire, move with purpose, work like history is watching, because it is. The next chapter of your story is waiting to be written in the ink of your habits. The pen is in your hands, and every stroke is a choice. Choose to be consistent. Choose to be unstoppable. Choose to never look back. Because one day, you will look around at the life you've built, the vision made real, the goals now standing before you, and you will whisper to yourself, I did this. Not because I was the smartest, not because I had the most help, but because I never stopped. That is power. That is legacy. That is what happens when you force yourself to be consistent. Now go, and never stop showing up.